Hi guys, today we are going to see a very interesting topic. So mostly what I want to discuss today is this Istio and Helm along with AWS EKS. So what is the Istio brings and what Helm brings to the AWS EKS? Before I go inside the presentation, let me go back to my PowerShell. I have in my previous videos I showed you the steps for connecting to the AWS EKS. So there is a utility called EKSCTL create cluster, and you can specify mine as region, and you can say what is the name of the cluster, how many nodes you need, what is the minimum node, what is the maximum node, and what is your node group name. So you can give all these things. Just press. This will take probably 10-15 minutes. That's the reason I want to do this first and go here. So let me try to open the console as this is doing so that it will be easy for us, right? So let me try to do that. Um, so let me go back to the thing. Um, Okay, so I want to go to the AWS console and be ready, and then go back to the presentation. Okay, then we'll talk about the STU and what is HEM and the procedures. We are going to do all the steps today. There are lots of commands I'll be doing. Um, just making myself ready with this. So this is trying to invoke this saying creating, and this is what exactly happening on the command line. If you see here, this saying creating. So let's talk about the concepts, and then I'll go through the steps once, then execute all the steps. Okay, so Istio helms with AWS EKS. What is an Istio? So we all know that EKS is a Kubernetes cluster, and we know how to deploy the movie catalog microservices, which talks to two other dependent services called movie rating and movie info, seamlessly in the previous video. But now we are trying to introduce this concept called Istio. It's basically nothing but a envoy sidecar. So, for example, whenever you are running microservices, correct? And there will be one microservice will be running in one pod. Suddenly, that might crash. It will open in another pod, and you can scale up and scale down the replica sets. And suddenly, there will be lot instances of the microservices running, and there will be different version of the microservices running. How do we try to get the visibility what is what? In the one of my previous video I showed using the GCP's stack driver. We could able to see the log, the tracing of the logs between the microservices, but that is a proprietary solution. So if there is any vendor independent solutions where these things are much easier, getting the microservices logs and to see what versions of microservices are there, how to route the traffic from one microservice to another microservice. That is where this Istio comes into picture. So within a pod, you will have your container, and you will have the sidecar container. So every of your images will have the sidecar injected as well. It's nothing but instead of directly talking to your service, there is an intermediary through which you talk to the service, so that you could control the intermediary for routing and those kind of things. That's the basic concept. So there is a control plane and there is a data plane for the Istio, and Istio itself is having the pilot, mixer, and CA. So pilot is nothing for API management. Okay, so there is like a kubectl, there's a Istio-CTL where you could do things through that, and the mixer is doing for the telemetry, rate limiting, and those kind of things. So you could actually try to charge based on how many invocations he made and those kind of things. Those things, the rate limiting will be part of the mixer responsibility. And obviously, when the pods are there, how to control the security between them. This is where the MTLS available to control that authorization side of it. So let's see. So you kind of know what is Istio now. Let's talk about what is Helm. Then we'll deep dive. Helm is nothing but a package manager. Okay, it's like an yum or apt, but for this is specifically for Kubernetes. Okay, what you can do life cycle of the releases, create the release, install, upgrade, rollback, delete, status, versioning. So it's beautiful because, for example, you are running a version, you created a release and you made so many changes to the release. You increase the replica set and removed it, and you added the load balancer and you do something else. Every time, if you use this Helm thing, if you want to go back, you can go back to any version. That's where the versioning is very important. I came from the rules engine background. One of the biggest advantage of the rules engine is the hot deployment and versioning. Anytime you can remove the version, the previous version will be there. The client can even go to a specific version and so on. So that kind of a flexibility has come to any application here. You could come back and roll back to any version you want through the Helm package manager. This one thing is very, very, very compelling reason to use this particular thing. Other benefits are repeatability, reliability, multiple environment, ease of collaboration, manage complexity, and command line interface is there. That's what you'll be using. Interact with the tiller server. So you need to have a tiller server deployed. So I'll show you the steps for that. There is a local chart development. I'll show you this. So the tiller service will be on the EKS server. We have to deploy. Listens to the Helm client. Interacts with the Kubernetes API server. So this is Helm client. And the tiller server will be talking to the Kubernetes API server, manages the lifecycle. So in a high level, the Helm client talking to this tiller server, which will talk to the Kubernetes API server. Okay. The Istio acts as an intermediary or interceptor that can add capabilities like automatic retrace, circuit breaker, service discovery, security. Now I'm going back to the discussion of Istio. And I'm saying what are the benefits you're getting through Istio. You're getting automatic retrace, you could do circuit breaker. If any one of the microservices is creating a problem or very slow, it could close the circuit so that that doesn't bring down the whole chain. Service discoverability is also there, security, right? The default service proxy for Istio is based on NY proxy. And you could get a blue-green deployment, canary deployment, all are natural in this particular thing because this just indirection you have, and you could control many things through indirection. Let's try to create some load to view how it begins. So at the end of the day, we have to create some load. So we will do that. And once we kind of using Helm install things, you'll be installing our application and everything actually again because we are creating the cluster. There are ways to monitor it, vendor neutral monitoring using Kiali and Jaeger, right? So this is one of the very, very important thing is for the multi-cloud tenancy, right? You can keep on learning CloudWatch way or Stack Driver way for each cloud vendor's stuff. But there are other cloud things expanding, right? Like an OpenShift, Azure. If you learn this particular tool, this one tool we could use across monitoring multi-cloud. So that is the beauty of because it's portable, right? So operations team will benefit from this. So kind of this is what in high level. Let's see what is the status of our cluster. We now still it is doing it. Okay, so it's a huge thing, right? Because it is creating the both the control plane cluster wise, and also the standard workers, the worker cluster also. So we said three node. So it's basically creating three EC2 servers and making it ready for the things. So now you guys know that today's discussion is mostly uh, Helm and Istio, right? Helm is the bottom line because I'm going to. Previously, I wasn't using Helm for installing the movie catalog, movie rating, and movie info microservices. But now we got the opportunity to install. Instead of using kubectl, I want to use the Helm install way of doing things. Okay, so let me go through you guys what is. So for example, this is Helm install. So how to get the Helm deployed on your I have a Windows laptop, right? It's always tougher to make things Docker and Kubernetes on the Windows. It's more Linux friendly. So if you're iMac, it's easier. But I took the challenge and it took some time, but I figured it out that you have to go to this particular site and try to chocolately install Kubernetes. So chocolately is something uh, chocolate is something what you in my previous video I showed how to install that for the Windows. Once you install Chocolatey, you could install other utilities. So this is how I install the Kubernetes Helm, right? By first initially I just did Chocolatey install Kubernetes Helm. This directly installed Helm 3, and which doesn't need a tiller concept and so on. And most of the existing applications and the examples are with the previous version of Helm. So I have to switch back. So this is how I got the latest thing. Okay, so this is one time. So once you install this Chocolatey install Kubernetes Helm 2140, then you can start installing your application, okay, using the Helm, because the Helm has been installed. So that means if I go here my command line, so I have another command line. So as the cluster is doing, so for example, if I say Helm name, let's see what's going to come. Since it's in the command line, so I should be able to create, delete. So all these things you kind of do. You can install. So this is what we'll be doing first. Once you install, what you do is if you want to change anything, you do something called upgrade. So you can install. So that means you could, once you follow the pattern, you could install multiple services just by this particular command install. How do we do that? So let me just show you how the directory structures are and so on. So this is what my project structure. So under this, I have the movie catalog, movie info, movie rating, right? So if I want to, this could have first it will have a chart, it will have a value, and within the templates you could put as many YAML file as possible. Okay. This is, if you guys know the use case, this is the composite use case where movie catalog will be talking to the movie info and movie rating. Okay, so that means in movie catalog templates, I have this microservices deployment. This microservices deployment file will be there for all the three, but this particular thing is having two more. It's want to create a HTTP gateway and virtual service, right? So we are going to see each one of them now and understand before we start executing. Okay. So let me try to open this. So I kind of open. This is the movie catalog. So there is something called values.yaml file. If you follow this convention, you specify, it's nothing but a templating. You say what is the image port, service port, replica, what is the name, and so on. Correct. Once you have this, then where this will be used is it will be used in there is a microservice deployment.yaml file. Within this file, you could have any name for that matter. The name doesn't matter, but what this is doing is this is saying values.name. What is values.name? It goes to this. Oh, okay, where is the name? So you trying to get this name. So instead of hard coding, you get these things. So in my case, I have three microservice. In all the three microservices, I'll have values.yaml, and these are all parameterized. Here it is movie catalog, there it will be movie info, the other one will be movie ratings, and the port will be different for each one of them. And you could say different replica, what kind of service type, and so on. So you get the point. And this is the chart.yaml file is basically telling what kind of thing it's trying to do. It's just uh, uh, the entry point for this Helm. And here you say what kind of name the microservice you are trying to create. Okay, so there are two more files. If you see here, there are creating HTTP service gateway and virtual external, right? So let's say HTTP gateway, and you guys by now know this. There are different kinds available. One of the kind is the gateway client, and this is the metadata, and this is of the type HTTP gateway, and ingress gateway. So basically, what we are saying is we are trying to create a HTTP gateway of the type ingress gateway, and which is going to listen at port 80 and HTTP for any host. Okay, so you create the gateway here, which creates the public IP for us. And the next file what we have is the virtual service. Through this virtual service, you are saying what gateway you want to use, and I would say HTTP gateway. Well, how you know? Because it is already here. So that is the beauty of it. Basically, it knows the interdependency. When you're trying to read these, oh, it needs to create it. So it knows it has to execute the other one first. So it execute this, create the HTTP gateway service, and use that here. And this is nothing but a content based routing. And we say HTTP URL is /catalog. If you have a /catalog, the destination is going to the movie catalog 8081. So this is our Kubernetes service, microservice. It knows how to go and get this DNS for this particular 8081. Right? So you kind of got the idea that all we'll be doing is parameterize in the Helm on the values.xml file, and it will be consumed in the one of the other YAML file, where instead of hard coding we'll be referring to values dot things. And since it's a composite things, here we say environment is equal to movie rating, and environment as referring to movie rating DNS and movie info DNS. Okay, so and also we have the service here, right? Service type and so on. So all these things got parameterized, and since it's a composite service, values and this alone will not be sufficient. You need to have an entry point. Instead of using the load balancer entry point, we are creating the virtual service. So we are introducing the virtual service, and this virtual service is using the gateway. And this gateway, so first of all, the virtual service is also of the type Istio. So we started using Istio on this particular deployment, and it's using a gateway, and in the gateway while defining it's also using a Istio gateway. Okay, so what is Istio? Istio is a sidecar pattern, so it's creating a proxy for every services, right? So I hope, let's see if this might have, see, we got it. So, so we had a quite a good discussion. Now, this is still saying that, but if I refresh, probably it might say created. Yeah, active. So you guys see this. So the cluster is done. And if you see here, the endpoint of the cluster, and it has this VPC. It creates these subnets for you. Since we have 3 nodes, we have subnets for each, and so this is the beauty of it. There are lots of things. If you have to do it manually, you have to create the VPC, you have to create security group, you have to assign the security authority properly, and you have to glue things all together, and you have to make it work, right? But that ECSCTL just magically created the whole thing for us. Now I'm going to take you to the ride of keep running the commands and start installing things. So we already, this is one time, so we already did this thing. So from now on, these are the steps. So it's better to install the Istio so that when you try to install your application, your microservices, it can have the sidecar injected automatically. So how do you create the, so first I want to go inside. So I just try to go and unsave. Okay. So we already have this. I'm just telling you, you have to go here, get the Istio and unzip in some place. Once you have that, so so these are the steps. The number one is creating this. So let's follow it through. So all we are doing is creating the namespace for Istio system. Okay. Now all I'm doing now is going to this directory. This is where I have unzipped the Istio 122, and I have to go inside this directory. And in Unix way, you could just say this applies fcrd slash. Basically, there is a way to execute all at one shot, but in Windows, I couldn't make that work. So all we have to do it is just so if you go inside this directory have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 YAML files. All we are doing is just keep executing all those things. So first you have to install the Istio in a particular directory. In my case, I install under utilities. Then go inside install Kubernetes helm, Istio init files, start executing kubectl. So looks lots of steps, but once you got used to it, just as a matter of the whole thing will take probably, I would say, 5 minutes. You could finish the whole installation. That's why it's better to document it. So I have this document especially for that. Okay, so I kind of did this. Now I need to go to root directory of this. Okay, root directory of where I put the Istio. Okay, then I have to say, so all I'll be doing is I'll be creating help template command. Okay, and it's trying to do the Istio with MTLS enabled, tracing enabled, Kiali enabled, Grafana enabled, and the namespace is Istio system, and it created this YAML file based on that. Now we are going to, so we are going to see all these utilities soon. What is Grafana, what is Prometheus, what is Kiali, all of them. It's all very good names, Greek names, but a lot of fun. So the whole thing, why we did this, because the number 6 we are saying Istio injection enabled, so that whenever I create any microservices, I just want to say enable the Istio injection enable true, so that I don't have to keep on saying for this you enable, for that you enable. So now this will work. Now there are things where you have to do the Helm. So far Istio is done. Now we are going to look at the Helm deployment. Helm is having two side of it, client and server. So server has to be applied uh, this one. We have to say kubectl apply -f dealer.yaml, which is there in the SQLN projects utility. Okay. Dealer.yaml. So if you see that, basically, I just want to say projects utility dealer.yaml file. This is the directory where I downloaded the Istio here and put it, and we did the Istio installation from here. I'll just show you what is this so that you kind of know. This is the all-back authorization, the cluster role binding, and we are saying this is the tiller service account, right? So this is available in their website itself. I just follow it. So whatever the steps I'm doing, it's all part of the Istio documentation. I'll show you that. I'm not doing anything away from that. I'm just following it through. So now I have to apply this. So service account tiller created now. Okay, so these are the part of the. So now we are going to say has been installed to your Kubernetes cluster. Now Helm server side is also installed. Okay. So now what you have to do it is, now we want to go into my application, movie catalog. So for the first set of instruction for Istio installed on the Kubernetes cluster, Helm tiller has been installed in the Kubernetes cluster. Now the part is to install the microservices. Got it? So how do we do that? Now we are going to use this magic way. Okay, so there is something called dry run. Probably I'll try to show to you guys. So this is very kind of interesting. Basically, Helm install, which we know, and we say right now I am under the directory. So I should go and show you where I am currently. So if I go here, right? So if I go to this directory, I kind of showed you before. This is where my movie catalog and everything there. All my applications. See, all my applications to be deployed through YAM is here. So all I did was went here, and now I'm going to do Helm install. And when I say dry run, it basically did not create the service. It just said what the service is going to create. It's going to create a service with the port number 8083 with the TCP, with the selector of this, and it's creating a deployment for deployment. And what are the things? What is the image for the deployment, right? So if we do the same thing, but if we remove this -debug thing, now it's going to create it. So now it's creating, okay, and it's telling you it is creating. So similarly, I'm going to do a Helm install this, right? Okay, so it's trying to do movie info now. Movie info. The last one is. It is okay, so probably since I did so many times, so it's keeping the old thing, so probably I would say Helm 9. So this is the versioning. You could have multiple versions here. So whenever you say movie Helm install, what you're trying to do, movie catalog, and you could say what is the name of that version, release. So that's the release thing. Okay. So now kubectl get all. If you see the magic thing, it's saying all of them are running, blah blah blah. But one thing you observe, there is not even one external IP to go for it. So how do we get the external IP? Okay. So if you go and do this, all I'm saying is kubectl get service namespace Istio system. Okay. You see here Istio ingress gateway, and this is the IP address. So you just have to grab this one. Got it? So Control C, edit, copy, enter, right? So all I have to do is, once I do it, I have to just change this IP address to this one. This is my URL. So if I go and hit here, blah blah. So beautiful. Now you're getting the movie catalog. The initial part of the movie catalog is about the movie info, and the second part of this is the movie rating. So it's a composite service, and you get the corresponding pod. What is your pod ID? This pod ID is this one. This pod ID is this one. So one thing what we have to do is we want to show you some of the monitoring side of it. But to do that, I need to run some load. So let's see how to run the load here. Okay, so let's do blah blah blah. I think yeah. So I have to go to simulate the load for this movie catalog. I have to go into this directory, project utilities. So let me do that. Then I have to run this right. So one thing what I have to do it is I have to go into this directory. Okay, colon projects utilities, right? Colon projects utilities. I have to go into this batch file. Yeah, so here I need to change the URL. So the URL should be this URL. Is this correct? Yeah, I think so. So I just have to replace the whole thing with this. Let me see if this works. If without the lost slash, will that work or not? Let's give it a shot. Okay, probably we might have to do this. Saying once the spelling of the name out, so something is wrong. What did I do? Okay, so let me try to fix this, and in the next video I'll show you how to see the monitoring side of it. So far we have seen what is Istio, what is Helm, how to install them, and how to run the composite web service using that. We'll look into the monitoring on the next one.